everybody, this is Matt and we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for watching. Today I have something very cool to show you. Something that I have seen pictures of and read about but have never actually seen. That is to say, never actually seen. I had never actually seen one until the other day, and that is this. This is a regular old Telecaster, but look, it's got this tricky little button right here. That is because this is outfitted with a Parsons white B-bender. The Parsons white B-bender is a crazy contraption, and what happens is you can kind of push this against your strap. As you can see, the strap button here is spring loaded. There's the spring right there that's doing all the heavy lifting, and you run your string around here, and you can pitch shift a little bit with this wacky guy. I'm not 100% sure about the history of the unit, so I'm going to read to you some of the things that I found out about it. All right, let's see here. According to the history, the B-bender was invented in 1968 by musicians Gene Parsons and Clarence White of Nashville West and the Byrds. The device was originally called the Parsons White pull string, later renamed the string bender. There's lots of these things that are out there floating around, yeah, this is kind of the one that I have always read about. If you take exception to any of the things that I was reading from the history page, take it up with Wikipedia. Like I say, I didn't write that stuff. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of what this dealy whacker does. And I think you can get about a step and a half with the B string with this guy. So you can do some kind of cool pedal steel tricks with this. And people who can play a lot better than I can certainly make this do an awful lot of neat stuff. But anyway, I'm going to show you in this video how to put all this rigmarole together and make this crazy Rube Goldberg contraption work. So enough of the bullshit talk, let's get started. Okay guys, that thing you just watched, I actually haven't even filmed it yet, so it's kind of goofy for me to wrap my brain around. But here is the body that Don brought us in, and you just saw it, with the Parsons white string bender on it. But now, as you can see, it is disassembled. There is no B-bending rig in there. So we used this body to build a template because Don wants some more bodies with B-bender routes. And so there were a few things we didn't have to remove to make the template, and it just made life easier. One is this little bronze bushing right here. There's no need to take that out. Another was this stud, this threaded stud. We probably could have got some pliers on that and pulled it, but no need. And then we don't booger it up with a bunch of, tool marks. This threaded ferrule was another thing. We didn't have to pull that off, so we didn't. But again, that's for the purposes of this video. I think this is disassembled enough. So this is just a kind of a import body. It's got like a veneer on it. It's okay. But yeah, so we used this to make this template. Now this is our B-bender template, and Don wanted a couple more tellies, so we need to make a template. Now I've got some flack here lately from people who said, I don't have a pin router, and I bet 99% of the people who watch these videos don't have one either. I bet it's 99.9999999% of the people who watch these videos don't have a pin router, and I get it. But I'm kind of showing you the way we do it. You can kind of suss all this stuff out. If you don't have a pin router and you did have this, you could, if this was all the way, see how like this is all the way through, it's all the way incised. If you had a template that was all the way incised, you could use a router with a pattern bit on it and go to town. It would work great. But the pin router has some cool features. One is that the pin can go up and down. So like this slot right here needs to just be about 1 inch deep, and this needs to be about 1.25 inches, and this needs to be about 1.5 inches. So we can raise and lower the pin and just get those areas and go for the depth of cut that we need. And the template's really a good one. So let's have a look at some of the things that we're going to need to do to put this bad dude back together. I've got all my tools out here, and I've got all the parts spread out. Let me show you those now. All right, so again, here is the template. Here is the body that we're going to be putting all this stuff in. You can see how this bronze bushing is kind of in at an angle. I don't think it gets installed like that. I think this one just got kind of used and boogered up. Here are all the parts for the B-bender. We're going to do some of the assembly before we put it in the body and some when it's in there. All this stuff will become crystal clear once we go. So yeah. Here's something I also get a lot of flack for. I don't tell you guys what tools I'm using. So these are, I think, all the tools that we're going to need. Some flathead screwdrivers, this puller pick thing, some needle nose pliers. I've got a clamp here because it's, you know, sometimes when you do this stuff you need a third hand. The other thing is this 1/2-inch box end wrench that we cut to be an open end wrench, and you will see why we need that as we go. But we have lots of 1/2-inch wrenches laying around, and so this just got sacrificed to the B-bender guitar project, and if we ever do another one, this will come in really handy. If not, it's still good. This end's still good. Okay. Let's do some pre-assembly of as much stuff as we can. This guy here can definitely be pre-assembled a little bit. We can assemble this guy. So this is the action rod, and as you manipulate this end, it's all going to become clear as we go. What happens is this little guy right here has a movement, and that's what gives you your pitch shift. So we can put this brass washer and one of these clips on this end, and that's where we're going to need one of the needle nose pliers. Maybe I can get one that I can actually use here. I'm just going to snap that dude. I said we're just going to snap that dude on. Okay, one more time. Come on now. There we go. All right, that guy's on, and I think that's probably all we can assemble beforehand. So let's get the body. So here is the body, and here is the piece that does the actual bending. Now you can see here, this is where the string ball end will ride, and the string goes through that and pokes out this other end. And as this guy turns, it shifts the pitch of the string. So what happens is your B string goes around, your string goes through here, comes around the this little bullet here and goes over the saddle, and that's what bends the actual string. So we need that in first. You stay in there. And then we need this piece. All right, so here's the opposite side of the bending portion, and this piece sort of just fits on like that, and it gets one of these brass screws. Get my big fat fingers out of the way so you can see. And I'm going to get my 1/2-inch nut driver, and we're going to snug that guy down. Okay? All right, the next piece that we need is this doodad. The arm that we need to have it indexed on the on this guy here. And we should probably go ahead and thread in the piece that attaches to the front sling swivel and is the action arm of the actual B-bender. Okay, so we're going to thread that guy in just like that until it stops. And now is where you're going to need your customized wrench. You can't really get in here with an open end wrench. Pliers would just make everything, ruin everything. So we're just gonna snug that guy down with our custom wrench. Come on, custom wrench. Voila. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now you can kind of start to see, and get this in the picture here, you can kind of start to see what's gonna happen now. So as you can see, what is happening here, this is the actual B-bender unit in action. But what we need to do is we need to apply some spring tension to counter the string tension. And this is the spring that was supplied with the unit. Now, this is a real pain in the ass to install. You probably are going to need a Band-Aid, like I have, if you do it wrong, like I did. This is the part of the installation that I think it really helps out to have the guitar clamped to the bench and give you a third hand, if you will. So we're going to clamp the rig to the bench and get all the springs mounted. It's just one spring, but it's a booger bear. So let's do that now. Oh, you know, one thing we can install is we can install the washer and nut onto the assembly. We don't want it flying off, right? All right, now let's clamp this this whole arrangement to the bench and put the spring on. Okay, so the spring is attached to the body down on this end with a it's a brass screw with a little piece of rubber around it, and one end of the spring goes on that. That's pretty good. I'm not a super huge fan of that screw holding the spring because there's a lot of spring, and that's not very much screw. But here we are. This is what they gave us. The other, so one end of the spring goes on that right down there, and the other end of the spring goes down here and is kind of held captive by another washer and a clip, and we're going to put that on next. So I'm going to actually get this bar kind of elevated. Okay, and the spring will go on that, and yeah, hopefully I won't cut myself again or poke any eyes out or anything like that. Ready? Here we go. That was way easier than the first time. Okay. Now we just put this washer on, and then this little clip, and we make sure that it's nice and all the way attached, and it appears to be. Okay. Cool. Boink. This piece of leather stuff actually goes into the spring, and I think kind of helps it keep from sproinging as much as it will. I said this little piece of leather goes into the spring. All right, so that was the tricky bit, and now you can kind of see what's happening here. Man, this is a really heavy duty design. So what we have to do now is thread in this guy here. This is just an Allen screw. Oh crap! There was another tool that I didn't tell you guys you would need. Okay, for this Allen screw, you will need a 3/16 Allen wrench, and just sort of tighten that in there. What that does is, you'll see here in a second. You see it? See this screw is actually poking through the body, and that will limit the travel of this this arm here. Okay? All right, so I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Well, how does this whole arrangement work? Well, this front strap button is what does all the heavy lifting. So when you've got this all strapped up, you can just kind of push the whole guitar away from you with this little lever. And then on the back, you can see what it does. And that's it. B-bender. All right, there's a few little trim pieces. Let's go ahead and put those on. This is the one on the front. There's a big notch cut in the front, and you'll need to put the little trim ring on there. A couple of screws to hold this plate on. I'm going to use a drill with a clutch. And oh man, does this irritate guys on the Fender forum. They hate it. They're like, don't you know Fender has special screwdriver bits that make sure you don't though they have all sorts of ridiculous notions that they of reasons why you should never use a power tool to screw in screws. And I got so much heat for screwing in neck screws with the wrong with a screw gun instead of a screwdriver, and boy, they really let me have it. But yeah, you know, some of those guys think that that every instrument is magical, I guess. All right, and let's put this guy in. The button here, we had to pull this the rear strap button because again, templates that we were working with. Okay, y'all, that is a quick, brief little history of the Parsons White B bender and all the cool stuff it does. Of course, all the cool stuff is on the back, and this is a wild contraption that, like I said, I had never actually held one in my hands. I had heard about it and read about it and seen pictures, but you know, holding one is very different. So if you have any questions about this or where to get this hardware, I'm going to leave a link in the description below, you know, who actually sells this or a version of this. You can look up, there's a lot of them. There's a deal that Bigsby sells that, you know, just has like the B string on the Bigsby. There's all kinds of kooky ways to get the same thing, but there's something cool about pushing the body away from you to get the strings to the one string to do something. Admittedly, that's a lot of contraption to get it to do that, but it's a cool piece of guitar history. You know what I think would be cool, and the ones that we make for Don, they're not going to have the B ferrule here, so they're just going to be set up for the B bender, and it's little custom stuff like that I notice, and I know you guys notice it too. All right, guys, so if you have any questions about what we did in this video, this is a really neat one, and I might be able to answer some of your questions, but I probably will, you know, refer you to Google for some of them. As far as like where you buy pieces and parts, this is not the only one, and you know, so you don't have to get this one. But I think B benders are cool, and you might think they're cool too. So if anybody wants one, I'll try to help you find one as best I can. If you like this video, give me the thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click that subscribe button. If you have any ideas for more videos too, if this is the kind of stuff you guys want to see, I'd be happy to make them. If you appreciate content like this, you might want to check out our Patreon page and consider becoming a member. Even $1 a month goes a long way to helping us bring you guys neat stuff like this, and I think this is particularly neat. If you can't do Patreon though, we totally get it. Just share the video as many places as you can possibly think of, because I've been kicked off of every internet forum known to man. So until next time, this is Matt at Texas Toast reminding you that if you're so smart, build it yourself. That's what I do. Thanks for watching, everybody. Woo! That got me. Ow.